all-new Dr. Phil.
We've broken up probably 20 to 30 times.
The stars of MTV's X on the Beach.
You said he's toxic cheater, narcissist.
Did I cheat on her? Yes.
What, are you interviewing yourself?
Things are about to get real.
You want us to keep our relationship private, but you can't even keep your privates private.
For these reality stars.
This is how we do it on the Dr. Phil show. You're about to get exposed.
All new Dr. Phil. Today at 3 on CBS 3.
Too Close to Call is a sports talk radio show brought to you by Kevin Mahalik, featuring commentary on the week's biggest sports news and events and engaging behind-the-scenes player interviews. While specializing in Philadelphia sports, Too Close to Call will also discuss issues and events happening on a national scale. Too Close to Call airs Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Aloha and hello out there, everybody. What's going on? This is Kevin Mahalik, and welcome to the Saturday, September 21st edition of Too Close to Call here on USALA Media and USALA Radio. And even though you guys can't see me today and we're not running live on Facebook or YouTube or anything like that, I still decided I wanted to record for you and give you an up-to-date episode here for the weekend. That way you guys aren't hearing the Tuesday episode twice again over the weekend, and we can get you guys relevant content and relevant information for basically your Saturday college football games. And for this reason, I actually have a special guest with me today. And if you guys listen to the podcast, Too Close to Call, like I've asked you guys to do in the past, and hey, we'll plug that right now. What do you think, Pags? But if you're listening on the radio station on usalamedia.com, pull out your phones, pull out Facebook, Instagram, type in Too Close to Call, the number 2 both times, as well as USALA Media, and that is USALA Media and USALA Radio. They have both feeds on Facebook, and you guys can follow us along where we post the episodes. And like I mentioned on Tuesdays, you can catch us live in studio recording these episodes. But at this point, I'd like to welcome in my special guest here today. He's a former college football player at William and Mary down in Virginia, so I thought bringing him in to talk college football would be right on the money. So thanks for joining me today, Pags.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Nice to be on USALA Radio.
Yeah, welcome. Your debut.
Yeah, it's nice. And like you said, played at William and Mary, played 5 years there, took that red shirt year there that all us college football players like to take.
A little bit of the Van Wilder playing.
Yeah, get a little bigger, get a little stronger to realize that college football is not high school football.
Nice. Here. Well, the people out there, like I mentioned, unfortunately cannot see our faces. So what position did you play? What did you get into down there?
Recruited as a defensive lineman for 2 years and then realized that I had 3-4 potential NFL prospected defensive linemen in front of me, and I was like, I need to go find somewhere to get on the field.
Nice.
So I ended up my career the last 3 years starting at center, and yeah, it was a good time.
Were you guys any good while you were there?
Got to the national semifinals my sophomore year. You were at that game against Villanova.
Sure.
We, you Philly fans, if you're listening around this area, freaking Villanova, can't stand them. Freaking beat us on a last-second play. Then they go and romp Montana in the national championship. So,
that was Hail Caesar time,
yeah,
right?
Caesar, Ryan Whitney, it's a quarterback. They were studs.
I played against Caesar in baseball too, man. That guy could do a little bit of it all.
Yeah, he was a stud, and then
chose baseball over football. Eventually, he was with the Cubs, made it to the show. Man. So yeah, not a bad decision there by Mr. Caesar.
But yeah, hey, my junior year we went to the quarterfinals, won the CAA. For those who don't know, the Colonial Athletic Association, JMU's, Villanova's, Delaware's. We won that conference that year. Ranked number 1 that year. First time William and Mary was ever nationally ranked number 1.
That's cool.
Yeah. All conference that year. And then my senior year was captain. First team all conference, first team all Virginia, honorable mention all American. It was a good time there.
Nice, man.
Yeah,
nice.
Figured out how to block people.
Yeah, absolutely. And Like I mentioned, this being Saturday morning's broadcast, we wanted to talk college football because we have about 3 hours. By the time the end of this hour, we'll have about 3 hours till kickoff. And I wanted to get your thoughts first off on last week 3 of the college football season. And then later in the episode, we'll get into this upcoming week. But the people heard my thoughts this past Tuesday, listening to the episode 2Close2Call. I wanted to get your thoughts, man. What are you thinking so far through 3 weeks?
So we're the pregame to college game day.
That's it. We are the pre-game day.
Flip on the radio.
Get your stuff done around the house.
Yeah,
do
have
what you
us
got
on
to do.
in the background.
Exactly.
And then throw on Corso and Reese Davis and Kirk.
That's right,
nice.
brother. That's right.
All
so
right.
hit me with your thoughts here.
Well, first game, Friday night, wild game. Washington State, Houston Cougars. Real good start to the weekend
Sure.
there.
And
two high-powered offenses.
A little bit of a teaser for later, but we are going to dive into Mike Leach's breakdown of the mascots in the
Ooh,
Pac-12.
I like it.
For you guys that didn't hear that, we'll play some audio for you. Then Pax and I are going to get into kind of our thoughts. It was fantastic, dude. That's why I love Mike Leach, man. I'm just watching that going, yeah, I could play for that guy.
Two of my favorite coaches in this game, Mike Leach and Dana Holkerson.
Oh, there you go.
And they're buddies. They're drinking buddies. They have a great relationship. And it was a good game.
It
Washington
was.
State ends up closing it out. Other than that, man, really just a rough weekend for your college football fans out there. Pitt comes into Penn State and gives them one hell of a game. I think Pickett's a lot better than people think out there.
He certainly played a great road football game. And while you were watching it, and Pitt only scoring 10 points, but they had less of a running game than the Eagles did this past Monday. I mean, so he threw for 370-some yards, no interceptions, no turnovers. That's as good as you're going to get there, man. But what was your take on that 4th and 1 decision by Narduzzi down by the goal line?
Yeah, it was a tough decision. I mean, you got to go balls to the wall there.
Tough decision? No, it wasn't. You go for that 100 out of 100 times, man.
Yeah, but if you don't get it, then you're pretty much screwed there.
Then they're on their own 1, and you hold them and they kick it back.
You being on the road at Penn State, you got to do that.
Non-ranked team versus a ranked team.
Yeah, literally worst case scenario is what happened there for Pitt.
Yeah, I didn't even realize the rule at the time that if you miss the field goal from within the 20, it goes to the 20, because even live I was like, all right, well now they get it at the 8 instead of the 1, so be it. And then it's at the 20 and I was like, oh, that makes it even more dumb.
Yeah, it really does. Because if you don't get it, then you just get the ball at the 1 and maybe you get a safety or something crazy happens.
Yeah, and you throw a pick in the end zone, they get it at their own 20. Well, that's what happened when you miss the field goal. So
exactly.
It's just, it was so mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Man. But, hey, if people listen to the podcast out there, like I mentioned, you would have heard Pags discuss the Temple Owls.
Yeah, Temple Owls, baby.
Oh.
Kenny Yeboah, one of my boys. Guys I used to coach, scores the game-winning touchdown, the one-handed touchdown that didn't need to be a one-handed touchdown, Kenny. Just catch it with 2 hands, buddy. Come on.
That's coaching. That's just horrible coaching in high school, bringing that up.
Yeah,
man.
Temple Owls bring Maryland back to earth. The high-powered offense only had, I think, 2 points in the first half, and that was a snap over the head. Did you see the punter?
I didn't. I didn't see any of that game. I did see Yeboah's touchdown because I watched, I saw him score, and then I Twitter-sphered the highlight, but that was
great.
it.
It was on Command Man on Monday Night Football.
Nice.
Punter gets snapped low, goes out of the back of the end zone. Punter finds his long snapper, mother effs him the whole way over to the field. Then, the end of the game, Temple's backed up, get it out of the end zone, punt it, and not give Maryland a shot because I think they were up by 3 or 4 at the time.
Okay.
Punter punts a 3-yard punt.
Oh, my God.
Maryland gets the ball in
the guy who was complaining to the other guy? Oh,
gets
baby.
the ball. Maryland gets the ball at the 12, and then Temple has another 4th and goal stand and ends up winning the game. So I know Temple Owls are a little PO'd that they are not ranked this year, but I think it's a lot to do with how bad Syracuse is because that was Maryland's big win.
Yeah, it really showed the Clemson-Syracuse game that Syracuse was the farce we thought they were, and, the standard ipso facto, Maryland beat them, well, they're not that good. Now Maryland loses, they're not that good. So is it really that good of a win for Temple? And that's where it gets back to my argument. If you guys are listeners of the show, I did a 3 to 5 minute spiel on Tuesday about how there shouldn't be any rankings up until week 6 or 8, and like the college football playoff does it, but I understand that the media needs it for talking.
Yeah,
but it's
come on,
things
man.
like this where Maryland, oh, they're really good. Well, maybe not. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, come on, out of the top 5 to 10 teams, we really don't know.
No, we don't. And speaking of the top teams, Alabama cruises, Georgia cruises. Jalen Hurts looks pretty darn good out at Oklahoma right now.
I'll tell you what, man, the quarterbacks of the top 5 or 6 teams,
very good.
all dominating. I know you cruised over it, but Lawrence on the road, 300-plus yards, 3 scores. Tua set personal records, 444 and 5 touchdowns. Fromm almost 300, 3 scores. Burrow, 373 with 2 touchdowns. Hurts, 289, 3 scores. Fields from Ohio State, 3 touchdowns. It's just the year of the quarterback has turned into the decade of the quarterback. And is anybody but a quarterback ever going to win a Heisman again?
Probably not. I mean, I'm looking at Notre Dame, and Book had 360 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Right?
Jeez.
It's just, it's crazy up and down the line. And we'll get into that in the third segment later on in the hour. We'll break down our top 5 Heisman hopefuls through the first couple of weeks, but I have a pretty good inkling that there's going to be quite a few quarterbacks on the
that's
list.
what it's looking like. And the only game that really gave us anything to talk about was Florida-Kentucky. Kentucky screwing up at the end there. Florida's quarterback, disgusting leg break. Did you see that?
That was not pretty.
That was disgusting.
I don't like watching those things.
That's very gross. And yeah, Florida has a tough game, but ekes it out. Those are the games you got to win. And Kentucky's not that bad of a football team. I mean, they were ranked high last year, beating Penn State in the Outback Bowl. So
yeah, they lost that top pick to the NFL, though, who I'm
Josh
sure on
Allen.
the defense
Josh
is
Allen,
a little bit worse. But that's another thing. Like, is Florida really the 9th best team struggling on the road in Kentucky? And, I mean, we'll find out as we go through the SEC schedule.
And then Michigan Sparty takes a loss out at Arizona State.
As a Michigan fan, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, the 10-7. Talk
Herm
about all
Edwards.
these touchdowns.
What are you thinking about Herm Edwards? 3-0, man. Did you think when he was hired that he'd have success?
I mean, I thought he would eventually have success. I didn't think he was going to go into Sparty and beat him. That's pretty impressive for right now. And they're looking like one of the top Pac-12 favorites coming out of their division. So it'll be interesting.
That's for sure, dude. And right after 18, Michigan State was 19, Iowa. College game day at Iowa State, and the Hawkeyes escape with a late 1-point victory.
Yeah, the idiot from Iowa State runs into his own returner, and the ball bounces off his back. Iowa gets the ball, and that's the game right there.
Special teams
Getting
play.
the ball back. Kid kicks the ball. The gunner's running straight down the field, not looking at the ball. Ball hits him right in the back, and he depletes his punt returner.
Oh,
so
God.
That's how you lose that game, and that's how you lose a lot of games in football when you have special team mishaps.
It's that third phase to the game. Everybody kind of puts to the side and just takes for granted until you either make a play or don't, and you realize, oh, wow, we could win 1 or 2 games this year if we just make a few plays.
And then my last thing in this segment, my question to you, when is Clay Helton getting fired? Because that loss to BYU might have sealed his fate out at USC.
Wasn't there just a recent change at quarterback because of an injury to USC?
I believe so.
Don't they have a freshman who came in now to play quarterback?
Yeah, the Stovia, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, and he was okay on the road. He had 3 interceptions, and the pick to seal the game in overtime, I did watch that one. It deflected off a few guys. It was thrown into traffic, but that may be the one thing that saves his job is the young quarterback who develops similar to the NFL.
Classic way to keep your job.
It's the only way to keep your job when you're struggling is just you kind of hitch your wagon to one of these kids saying, hey, he's not there yet, but if we just maintain course, we'll be there. And it does get a little bit interesting out there because Lynn Swann recently stepped down as athletic director. And did Lynn Swann hire
I
Clay?
believe so. He's
Right?
been there for 3 years.
Yeah,
so
it's his guy. And the new guy, is he going to want to bring in his own guy? So
Right.
there's that variable as well. And typically it does happen that way. Maybe they get one more year to kind of prove themselves to the new regime. But I was surprised the week before when USC upset
Stanford.
Yeah, and Stanford maybe not looking as great after a blowout loss to UCF, but still Stanford in name, a Pac-12 team. You think they're going to be solid year in and year out. And wrapping up the top 25, and then I do want to get one more take from you as we wrap up this first segment here. But Virginia, Florida State, dude, 1-2.
Terrible.
Are they officially not Florida State?
Yes. When that receiver lined up backwards, I was out on.
Was
Florida
that a
State.
thing?
I have no idea.
Have you ever seen that before
No.
as a coach? Like, what are you thinking breaking down that film? Are you looking at that going, hey, we should end and put this in our playbook?
Did the Florida State coaches come out and say that was
I
planned?
don't know. I've
Because
just seen the picture.
talk about idiotic plays. If you're an athletic director watching your coach, if that is planned, what was the plan here? And if it wasn't, you have no control of your players.
Right.
Like, what is going on?
Unbelievable, dude. So, wrapping up here the last minute or two, why don't you give me your lasting thoughts on the first 3 weeks? What has surprised you so far? What have you seen? What's your take here on the college football season?
My take is that the top 6 are kind of head over heels better than everyone else.
What about
in this
7
one.
Notre Dame?
7 Notre Dame's going to be exposed this weekend. I have a inkling that
More
that's
on
gonna
that coming up
happen.
in the next segment, but
I think you got LSU. I think it's pretty crazy that we have 3 SEC teams that are going to fight for this playoff spot. And I think the main pressing thing is, what are the college football playoffs going to do when you have a 1-loss LSU or a 1-loss Bama and then a Georgia team that runs through the East in the SEC? I'm really interested to see how that all pans out.
absolutely. And I'm going to get your predictions on that a little bit later in the show and later in the hour.
I'm a little biased.
We'll see. We'll see. Stay tuned, listeners. But for now, we're going to take a brief break. Let our sponsors talk to you guys here on Too Close to Call. So stick with us, and we'll be talking to you guys soon here, as in the next segment, we're going to preview Week 4 of college football.
Can't wait.
Welcome back, everybody, to this next segment here on Too Close to Call, your sports talk radio station here at USALA Radio and USALA Media. If you're listening to us on the website, take a brief moment, go to Instagram, Facebook, follow USALA Radio and Media, as well as Too Close to Call, the number 2 both times. That way you can stay up to date with additional podcasts that we provide outside of just this radio show 3 times a week, as well as some funny internet content and videos that you're looking to stay entertained for on social media. But if you're just joining us, I am joined by a special guest, Jamie Pagliaro. Jamie is a former college football player at William & Mary, and we are here discussing Week 4 in college football. So, right on brand, my man.
Week 4, let's get it. It's they're giving us some good content this week, unlike last week.
Yeah, a little bit of a struggle there to get through Week 3 with
Yeah.
no ranked matchups, but quite a few this week to talk about.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the top tier teams kind of separate themselves and kind of get to that next echelon when it comes to the college football rankings, which are looming in, 3-4 weeks?
Yeah, coming up in about a month or so. That's usually middle of October, end of October, when that starts peeking its head around, and you're going, okay, which wins matter? What are they thinking? And they're typically right along the lines of the rankings when it comes to the top
couple
10
things here and there, but I really think you hit it on the nail on the head when it comes to not releasing any rankings until the college football playoffs,
right?
Because
we all
it's
know
ridiculous.
Notre Dame, Georgia is a good football game, whether they're ranked.
We're gonna watch it
3-7 or 10-15. Like, we're tuning into
Right.
Georgia, Notre Dame.
right. So you want to jump into that one right away?
Yeah, might as well, man. Why not bury the lead here? What do you got? What's your take? SEC versus Independent.
I think that Georgia is going to roll, and especially being at Georgia, -12 going into this game. That's It's a Georgia line right there, people.
Yeah, it's up to 13.5 or 14, depending on which one you guys are currently getting. So 2 touchdowns for Georgia at home. They've only met 2 other times, with Georgia winning both games, most recently in 2017. That was a heck of a football game that year.
That was a really good game, and that's why Notre Dame kind of got those props going into the college football playoff rankings when that was their only loss. So I expect Georgia to have a high-flying offense here. Swift is a beast, local kid from St. Joe's Prep. It's going to be a lot of offense because I think Notre Dame can put up points. I just don't know how Notre Dame's defense is going to hold up against this high-flying Georgia offense.
That's the problem, because Georgia's rushing attack averages 7.6 yards a carry, and Notre Dame's allowed 461 rushing yards in 2 games. So Mr. Swift will probably be fed on Saturday.
A lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's great to see 2 of these teams playing each other. You don't see that very often.
I mean, Notre Dame's playoff chances are clearly on the line.
Yeah.
They lose this game, even if they do run the table, I think they're going to be on the outside looking in. So this is one of their Super Bowls. I don't know if they have anybody else ranked 3rd on the schedule. I know they have ranked opponents.
If Michigan works their way up, that
Could
would
be.
be a big one for them.
Could be.
USC's not.
Right.
Stanford's not.
Right.
Like,
they got Virginia on there, who's currently ranked. There's a few of them, but this is one of 2 where
you take care of this game, you pretty much set yourself up to pretty much be in the college football
beat
playoffs
Georgia,
for
beat
Notre Dame.
Michigan. You're looking like you're in. So this is one of 2 for them where they have that opportunity.
They got to take one of those games.
Well, they got to win both to make it.
You think?
I don't think they get in with 1 loss, dude.
You know?
Based on what we talked about with all the other conferences and teams that most likely will have 0 or 1 loss plus a conference championship, that may throw them over the top. But I'm with you, dude. I'm taking Georgia. I may take Georgia given the points. I think they could win by more than 2 scores, dude.
Yeah, I think 38-24, something along those lines.
Okay.
Georgia hammers them.
Okay.
And I don't think it's really going to be in doubt for most of the game. I think Georgia gets a hot start. And
Being in Georgia's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. And that's your 8 o'clock kickoff, so that's the night game. So you guys have about 11 and a half hours to prepare for that one.
Start pre-gaming.
That's
Let's go,
it.
people.
Get ready. But the second game of the day, potentially, or probably 2 of 3, is the noon kickoff, and that's number 11 Michigan at number 13 Wisconsin. Both teams coming off a bye. One has been way more impressive than the other, and that's the Wisconsin Badgers.
Wait, Michigan start as a 7. They've dropped to 11, and they haven't lost yet. So
they were pushed by Army to the brink, which we've talked about in the past, and Wisconsin's outscored their 2 opponents 110-0. Now, they've played nobody and nobody, but still, very impressive.
South Florida, Central Michigan, 110-0. That's you can't say that that's nothing because that's a hell of a lot of points.
I mean, their defense has only given up 215 total yards in 2 games.
And isn't that like about what Michigan has put up
the
first 2 games?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They're giving up an average of 107. Michigan may get that on the ground alone.
Yeah.
It's going to be a test for Wisconsin, that's for sure. But on the flip side, like you said, Michigan, they've had trouble scoring, so this bye week probably comes at one of the best times early in the season because now you have 2 weeks of game film to kind of break down and go, what the heck are we doing out here?
This sniffs like a classic Michigan move here where the offense kind of just comes out of nowhere and kind of blows the doors off Wisconsin. And it's like, hey, we righted this ship because they do have a new OC and maybe he hasn't really been able to get a grasp of the entire thing. So maybe the bye week helps Michigan in that way. But Wisconsin also has the bye there where they have a week to prepare for this team as well.
Yeah.
So both teams coming off byes, you don't normally see that in the early in the college football playoff.
I thought that
college
too.
Football season.
I thought that too, dude. But Michigan's getting 3.5, depending on who you're using for entertainment purposes. And yeah, that's a toss-up. So I may take Michigan in the points. We shall see. But certainly the biggest game on the noon schedule coming up.
I'm looking at Hornibrook was 7 for 20 last year with 100 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks against Michigan. I think that's going to be the line right there. And if Wisconsin can't get the running game going, I see Michigan squeezing out like a 24-17, 21-20.
Well, Hornibrook's no longer there. He's since transferred.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Whoops.
he's not there.
Who's the quarterback?
I don't know who the quarterback is off the top of my head, to be honest with you. I haven't watched
Jack
a
Cohn.
single second of Wisconsin.
I just
see is-
proved to myself that I did
there you
not.
go.
So Jack Cohn coming in. Yeah, all these Wisconsin quarterbacks are all the same.
Right.
They can't throw the ball other than Russell Wilson. It was like,
well, Jonathan Taylor is trying to break career records.
So he's going to be a stud.
Even though Michigan slows him down every time, he still gets over 100 yards. He's at like 120 because Wisconsin is just so committed to the run that even if they're not getting those big plays, he's still going to get 20 to 30 carries.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm looking at the next two slated games. Texas, Oklahoma State, that's going to be a lot of points. Take the over in that, people.
Yeah, you think so?
I think Texas and Oklahoma State are both going to put up a lot of points. I mean, you saw Texas's defense against LSU. These Big 12 teams just throwing lots of points all over the place.
Coming into the season, we thought Texas's defense was going to be one of the top defenses, and then LSU put a lot on film that could expose that. And like you mentioned, the Oklahoma State Cowboys averaging just about 49 points a game. And here's a little known tidbit, but they've won 5 straight in Austin.
Really? Interesting.
That's going on a decade, man. Every other year, like, does that work in Oklahoma State's favor or Texas's favor, having a streak like that being thrown around, I'm sure, in the media down
I
there?
would say with Texas off the game against LSU, you would think they have a chip on their shoulder. And Texas has to win from here on out to even have a shot.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to have to beat Oklahoma twice.
Yep.
And beat all these other teams that they've struggled with in the past against the Big 12. So
Absolutely.
It'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Absolutely, dude. And the 3:30 game is number 8 Auburn at number 17 A&M. And Pags, I'm going to be honest with you. A number 8 team on the road, I get that. Number 17, who got smoked by number 1. Is number 1 that good?
Yes.
That number 8 is getting 4 points?
I think so.
You don't think Auburn should be favored on the road?
I think Auburn has struggled in the beginning with this quarterback.
Auburn beat Oregon.
I understand.
They already got a marquee win.
No, I understand all that, but A&M is no slouch. They are a very good football team who ran into a buzzsaw of Clemson, who might not lose a game this year, might hammer Alabama in the national championship. I think Clemson is that good.
As I'm reading more here, A&M's defense has allowed single-digit points twice already. And obviously the one where they didn't was Clemson. So where is Auburn's offense going to fall on that spectrum of giving up 28, I think it was, to Clemson, or single-digit? I think it'll be somewhere in between. I think Auburn's going to be in the 20s.
Yeah, and they have looked great outside of this Clemson loss. I mean, they lost 24-10 to Clemson. That held Clemson to its lowest point total in a very long time. So
maybe Auburn's not going to be able to
if
score.
they don't play Clemson, they're probably looking at, a 9-10 ranking, and then you're looking at 8 versus 10, and a -4 at home doesn't seem as crazy.
It's true. I don't know. I think in Auburn and the points, man. When that came out, I was going, ooh, really? And it's probably one of those analytics darlings matchups where the more you dive in, the more you realize that this is going to be a close, contested matchup.
I think it's going to be a push. Auburn 27, Texas A&M 23.
Yeah, there you go. Of course, bet the push out there.
There you go.
You get good odds on that. But those are the only ranked versus ranked matchups, or am I missing anything?
That's all I'm seeing over here. Tennessee's looking to right the ship. I mean, they are horrible right now. Florida has a new quarterback in town, so his first start of the season going against Tennessee at Florida. I think Florida rolls there. Oregon, we talked about Stanford already. Stanford, we don't know what Stanford is. I think they stink.
Yeah, it's certainly looking that way, man.
So you think Oregon goes in there and kind of hammers them, and then
double-digit favorite for the Ducks at 10.5 at Stanford, and based on the game they played against Auburn, that sounds about right. I'm thinking Oregon may even cover that.
Yeah, so we'll see. The only other one that I'm very intrigued with is Penn State, Maryland. I want to see.
That's in 2 weeks, Pags. Penn State has a bye this weekend.
Oh, Penn State has a bye. Never mind.
Yeah.
Then the other one, UCF Pitt.
There you go.
Can UCF keep rolling? -10 favorites against the Pitt Panthers. at Pittsburgh. Can Pittsburgh put together another close game against a ranked team?
I'll tell you what, the public does not think so because it's gone from -10 to -12.5.
Okay.
And I think that's a little bit low just because last week with the rivalry game and everything that comes with that, I think is a big key as to why Pitt played such a good football game. And I'm not sure coming home to a 3/4 full Heinz Field where the game day atmosphere isn't going to be what it was, that they're going to be able to perform at the level to stay with UCF. And as good as Kenny Pickett was last weekend, and we talked about in the first segment, they still only scored 10 points.
Right.
They've scored, I think, 20, 20, and 10 or something like that. And yes, the offense has gotten better every week, but it hasn't manifested itself into points, into scoring 30. And Central Florida with their offense and this true freshman quarterback that's just lighting everything up with almost 800 yards and 8 or 9 touchdowns, no picks. It's going to be a matter of whether Pitt can get pressure on him and make him feel uncomfortable, because if he can sit back there with time, he's just going to pick them apart, and it's going to be a long day in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they got hammered by him last year, I think.
Yeah, down in Florida for sure.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what Pitt can do. I'm pulling for the Pitt Panthers, but I think UCF has a very good football team this year. And the only other one I really see is Arizona State, Colorado. Colorado coming off a big win against Nebraska. Then they lose to Air Force last week. So see what Colorado's made of, because people were a little impressed by that win against Nebraska. But I think along the lines of that old rivalry there, I think that has something to do with it. And the only other thing I want to get from you is, if Washington State goes out and hammers UCLA, is it time to fire Chip?
I don't know enough about UCLA, man, to answer that, but
I'll tell you.
On the surface, it doesn't look good. I always say you got to give a guy 3-4 years, because you got to let him get his guys in. You got to let his guys develop, because he had Wilton Spate at quarterback last year.
Oh, that's true.
So that entire year should probably be thrown out the window, because, yes, I understand he had a little bit of success with Nick Foles, but that's not Chip Kelly's offense, the big burly quarterback who can't even extend the play, let alone move.
Yeah.
And the kid last year, I thought he would have been better than he was. I forget his name. I know he was a 3-named kid, if I remember correctly. But I thought he would have been better, and I don't even know who the hell's playing this year for him, but they need to score more points, whether or not their defense is good or not.
14 the last 3 weeks. And losing to San Diego State?
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, not good at all. Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, knew it had 3 names.
Yeah.
He was a pretty highly recruited kid coming out of high school, if I remember correctly, and just didn't develop into really anything. He was just a turnover machine.
Losing to Cincinnati, San Diego State, Oklahoma can be excused. But now you got Washington State here.
Sure.
Getting into conference play. See what happens there.
Absolutely. But that'll wrap it up for this segment. I appreciate you guys listening once again. Pags, thanks for joining us here for another segment of Too Close to Call on USALA Radio. And I know we're looking forward to Week 4, like we said, quite a few ranked matchups that are very highly ranked. So not even your 20 versus 23s, but multiple teams that are going to be very good. So we're looking forward to that. But coming back in our last segment here for the last 20 minutes or so, we're going to be discussing a little bit of the broader picture for college football. We're going to be talking playoff scenarios, what we think is going to happen. We're going to be talking Heisman race, as well as just some overall general college football takes. So if you guys stick around here on the other side, we look forward to talking to you again soon. And thanks for joining us. Too Close to Call here on USALA Radio. Welcome back, everybody, to the last segment here for Too Close to Call, your sports talk radio station on USALA Media and USALA Radio. It is Saturday morning, September 21st, coming up on about 9 a.m. We appreciate you guys listening with us here for the first half hour or so, give or take. We know you guys are trying to get your work done as you head into college game day coming up at 9 o'clock and your football action starting here at noon. soon. But if you're just joining us again, I am Kevin Mahalik, your host of Too Close to Call, and I am joined by a special guest. I know you guys can't see us live today on Facebook or YouTube, but do me a favor and welcome Jamie Pagliaro, former All-American offensive lineman from William and Mary. Thanks again for coming in today, Pags.
Hey, thanks for having me. Ready to get into this third segment here.
That's it, man. This one's a little bit broader. We're not discussing specific weeks, more so kind of big picture stuff here in college football. And what better to discuss big picture than who the hell's going to win the Heisman Trophy? Is it as simple as whoever's playing quarterback for the Oklahoma Sooners?
Yeah, that's what it looks like right now, man. He's going to get drafted first overall in the NFL.
There we go.
He's going to win the Heisman.
Okay.
That's the status quo for the last 2 years.
Pretty unbelievable that that's happened. And even here in a third year, we make the joke because it's another realistic opportunity with Jalen Hurts lighting it up thus far for the Sooners.
Yeah, he's been impressive. And that offense seems to, doesn't matter who's in it, they just kind of stick them right in there, and they're a Heisman favorite.
Lincoln Riley, right?
Lincoln.
Just coaching them up out there, man. He's been lighting it up.
Jalen Hurts, 49-61, 80% passing rating, 888 yards, and 9 touchdowns, no picks.
Is he your leader in the clubhouse right now?
I think Tua is probably up there right now.
Okay.
1,000 yards, 12 touchdowns. I think it's going to be a battle between these two throughout the year, but I think a dark horse, if he continues to have success, is Joe Burrow out of LSU, which you never hear out of the Heisman watch, the quarterback from LSU being in there.
Not at all, dude. And based on his performance at Texas, he's certainly thrown his hat into the ring as somebody who needs to be discussed. And he's going to have opportunities as the year progresses to even further that name with other big opportunities against Georgia, Alabama, things along those lines. But how about the guy from Ohio State, man? The transfer Justin Fields has been lighting it up thus far early on, and he's been impressive after a transfer. People thought with the new coaching staff there, not having Urban Meyer, that there may be a little bit of a letdown coming in Columbus. But Mr. Fields has said not so fast, my friend, through the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's been impressive, and that offense goes with him because everyone thought Ohio State, after Urban leaving and everything, they were going to kind of have a step back this year, and Fields is like, yeah, no, we're rolling here. Let's go, people.
Let's go, people. But I know I touched on it in the last segment, and if you've been with us for the entire hour, thank you so much, and you guys know what I'm touching on. But if you're just joining us, obviously the recent history has shown that playing the quarterback position has been beneficial for winning this trophy in the Heisman. And there are a few running backs who I think could upset some people this year by getting in there, man. I mean, Jonathan Taylor, we touched on, could set an NCAA record for career yards. He continues to light it up early in the year, man. And I don't think he's going anywhere with the style of offense that Wisconsin plays, as long as they have a good record with only maybe 1 or 2 losses and he performs. I think he's going to end up in your top 5.
Yeah, he's going to be there. Him and maybe Swift from Georgia, with his playmaking ability there.
You're forgetting about the guy from Clemson, too. Travis Etienne, I think is how you say it. It's Etienne. The only problem is I think he's going to split votes with Lawrence.
Yeah, that's going to be an issue. The way I'm looking at it right now, I know you're saying we brought up the running backs. I brought up Jalen Hurts' numbers. The dude is 373 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns as well, running the ball. So,
yeah. Total yards, total TDs.
Yeah, he's going to rack up a lot of stuff. And especially, he hasn't even faced the Big 12 defenses yet. So,
what are your thoughts on the standard conversation that usually happens around the MVP, but typically the Heisman in college of, are you a fan of the best player on best team, or are you a fan of best player no matter how team performs?
I'm more along the lines of the team as well as the player. I don't need a
like if
UCF
Oklahoma loses 2 to 3 times,
right,
but Hurts still lights it up.
No, I think you give the nod to Tua if Alabama's undefeated.
Right.
That.
Interesting. Go into that a little bit more, because why, man? It's an individual award. What does it have to do with the team?
I think team success has a lot to do with a lot of things, because if that was the case, Matt Stafford at the Lions would be in the MVP running because he'd throw for 4,000 yards.
Well, it's like it's your Saquon Barkley argument.
Right.
He was clearly the best talent in best player in college football. He just wasn't a quarterback. So was that... Whose year was that before in Cleveland? That was Baker Mayfield's year.
Baker Mayfield won that year.
So I get
Saquon
Baker.
didn't even get invited to
That's
New
what
York.
I'm saying. Probably because they were ranked, 13th or 15th, because they took a couple L's that year.
Yeah.
So that basically makes your argument as to, I know that's how they've done it, but just sometimes in my head, I'm going, man, just because they're undefeated doesn't mean, he should win it. If this guy, everybody watches and goes, this guy's unbelievable.
Yeah, I would argue the fact that I'm more on the lines of the team sucks. If the team is struggling, but this dude's putting up points, because a lot of those points are coming from when the team's getting blown out, and then they're just racking up points there. But if you got Tua, who his numbers would be even better if he wasn't getting pulled out in the third quarter.
Well, last year he didn't even play like half the quarters he could have at the end of the year. It was some insane number of the percentage of total games he was playing. But
like last year was a perfect example. Kyler Murray, Oklahoma was not better than Alabama, but the only reason Oklahoma was in the
he was still in the playoff,
Kyler,
though. So
that's
I'm talking,
true.
When's the next guy going to win it on the 13th to 18th?
I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's interesting. And that's where it's like, oh, man, this guy's been really good, and the rest of the team, not so much. Without him, they're 4-7.
Right. That's the other argument. Yeah, you're right about that. So it's interesting, but the way the voters have talked is the way I'm talking right now. So I think that's what we're going to continue to see throughout this.
So
Heisman
that's
race.
really this argument is kind of null and void until you see who's in the playoff or close at the end of the day. Because if Joe Burrow, even if he continues, but they lose twice and they end up ranked 12th, he's not winning it.
Right.
And that's that's the argument. But briefly here, we'll touch on before we get into your college football playoff thoughts and predictions. But did you see the news that 4 schools are actually going to have an HBO series? I'm assuming similar to a Hard Knocks, because it says All Access series. And those universities are Arizona State, Florida, Penn State, and Washington State. This is coming out in October, man. It's only a month away.
Yeah, HBO's kind of figured out that they can film somebody like Last Chance U, like Hard Knocks, and a lot of people are going to watch it.
People will watch
those
it.
teams. I'm going to watch it. I mean, Arizona State, you got Herm. That's going to be.
I was going to say, I'll watch it for the coaches alone.
Yeah, Penn State, there's a whole clique that's going to watch that thing. I don't know if Franklin's going to survive this. So it would be nice to see the insides of everything and see how he is, because I've heard how he is as a coach, and it's not great. So it'll be interesting to see that. And then with Washington State, we talked about it in the beginning. Mike Leach, this dude is must-watch TV every time he opens his mouth, every time he goes to Twitter. So it'll be fun to watch him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's pause to play that audio of him breaking down.
Let's do it.
Those Pac-12 mascots.
Well, first of all, what kind of mythical powers does a Sun Devil have? We got to consider that. I'm going to say the Wildcat's out. The Trojan, does he have a horse or is he on foot? Does he have a bow and arrow or just his sword? The Bruin, definitely formidable. Another bear up there at Cal. The tree, I imagine that tree's going to get chopped down. Unless we're going to go with a bird and somebody might get pecked or something. I don't know. And then the duck might lose interest and just fly away and get out of there, which may be good advice under the circumstances. The husky, no chance. The beaver, we'll see how long that beaver can hold his breath. The ute, again, we're back to, is he on horseback? Does he have a bow and arrow? Did he trade for a rifle? I mean, because if that ute's got a rifle, there's some definite problems. You'd have to get one of those Harry Potter activists to read up on how you kill a Sun Devil, because there's a lot of outside stuff there. Just as far as a beast alone, a buffalo's going to be pretty hard to tangle with. I mean, a buffalo's utterly outstanding. Well, but Butch is going to have to be clear-minded and crafty. I mean, Butch will find a way. There's no question. The Coug will find a way. Clear-minded and crafty, a combination of stay out of harm's way and attack when you get your chances or your openings.
That's just fantastic, man. I cannot wait for that HBO series to get even more of that.
Dude, we're going to have to get the Harry Potter people to take a look at what a Sun Devil can do. This guy's the best.
Well, does he have a rifle? What is he on horseback? We don't know.
He brings
a lot
up
of
good
variables.
points.
A lot of variables. A lot of
He
variables.
does.
It's just, oh my gosh, man. But I thought that was excellent. You guys, if you hadn't heard it yet, needed to hear that. So coming up on about 10 minutes left here, Pags, and let me get your early predictions for the college football playoff. What are you seeing? I know we're Clemson, Alabama.
Yes.
I can assume everybody's taking those two until they lose.
Yeah, Clemson, Alabama, 1-2 right there. I think it's going to get interesting when it gets down to Alabama, LSU. Can LSU get over the hump there with those teams? So we'll see. Clemson definitely number one. If I had to go right now, I'd go Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma, and then that fourth spot right there, a one-loss SEC team, LSU or Georgia or Ohio State. This is me saying Georgia beats Notre Dame, so
Sure.
Notre Dame's out of it.
Okay.
I'd probably put, I don't want to put Ohio State in there, but I probably would right now.
An undefeated Ohio State
Yes.
is in.
Mm-hmm.
You think so? But you're going maybe one-loss conference champion versus one-loss Georgia to Alabama, the standard. We just saw them play. Are they really going to play the 1-4 game again?
Well, yeah.
You know my thoughts on that, man. And for you listeners out here for the first time, I am a big advocate of if we've seen the game already, I don't want to see it happen again, such as last year when Alabama-Georgia played a heck of a game in the SEC title and people wanted a rematch in the 1-4 game. And my question is, why do you want a rematch? You just saw what happened. This isn't baseball. This isn't basketball. It's not a best of 3 here, people. Let's play the SEC title game as if it was a play-in game to the playoff. And if you want to get in, win the football game, Georgia.
Right.
Don't leave it up to, we only lost to them and they lost to them. It doesn't matter. You had your chance.
Right.
Literally 4 days ago, and you blew it. You're out.
And that's not fair to Alabama. Alabama's like, we just beat them. Clemson's going to play Notre Dame, who we know they're going to hammer, and we got to play Georgia again a week later when there is bulletin board material to that. So
that's, I guess, the only outlier would be, and the way I hope it happens every year, just because I'm an advocate of playoff expansion, and that is I want undefeated at least for hopefully all 5 Power 5 champions.
Yes.
So in this case, it'd be Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and right now it's looking like Utah out of the Pac-12.
Corso had them in his college football playoffs.
And then if they're undefeated as a Pac-12 champion, they're right there because they're going to play some teams and then throw in Notre Dame, who then would beat Georgia. Obviously, they're out. So you'd have 6 unbeatens, 5 conference champions, and then Notre Dame being Notre Dame. In that instance, who would you take? I know it's kind of far-fetched, and the ultimate cry would be to expand the playoff.
Yeah.
But in that, just for giggles here, man, who you taking?
I think what I just said: Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma, Ohio State.
The only one I would think could get in would be Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
But
if they beat Georgia, definitely.
I think Utah would be out just because they're Utah in the Pac-12. Those fans would be pissed out there. But
no doubt.
Because every year we've had the argument of who 4, 5, and 6 are. But at the end of the day, we've really kind of known who that 4th spot should and it is going to be.
And normally it does go to that
Right.
team.
We've had the argument, it could be, it should be, but really we know who it is. And then that's where you get into, if you go to 6, maybe give the top 2 buys instead of going to 8. I would like to see them go to 8, just give automatic bids to the Power 5s. Then you get Notre Dame or 3 at-larges, such as your LSU, Georgias, and whatnot. And ultimately, I think it's going to go there, and they're just going to get rid of one of these non-conference weeks early in the year where all the top teams don't play anybody, kind of like last week.
Right. Well, 2 years ago is the year you really saw it, was Georgia got in as an at-large SEC team. that was because Ohio State lost to Penn State that year.
Right.
Penn State won the Big Ten, but they got hammered by Michigan earlier that
That's
year.
how that works.
And
if Texas comes back to win the Big 12, it gets crazy. Or hell, even if Michigan or Wisconsin wins out and wins the Big 10.
What about if Temple gets ranked and then UCF hammers Temple in their whatever championship game, AAC?
If it were 8 teams, I'd put them in. But at 4, certainly they're not going to get that opportunity. But all right, Pags, it's been almost an hour here. We're coming up on about 5 minutes left. Just for fun here at the end of the episode, we're going to each pick 5 games using the point spread. We're going to keep track of how we're doing. Hopefully we can help you guys win some money out there. So what are you thinking here?
First one, I don't know if this is going to be on your board, but I think it is. Michigan plus 3.5.
I'm taking Michigan too.
I got Michigan.
Get that
covering
half a point.
Yeah.
But they're getting the points back.
Yeah. So plus 3.5, I think Michigan covers there.
Okay, we're both on that one.
Okay. Stanford, I think Stanford covers against
Oregon,
yeah.
All right, I'm on the other side.
10.5.
I'm on the other side.
You think Oregon hammers
Taking
them?
the Ducks, giving the 10.5. So difference there.
I'll take Stanford there.
Okay.
One off the grid here. ODU.
Okay.
Plus 29.
Really?
29.5. I think they cover. I think
interesting. Virginia's been good.
In-state rivalry there. I don't think Virginia beats them by 29.5 points. I think ODU goes in there and covers that game.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'm staying away from that one. So we'll have a different one here, but I am actually going to take UCF minus 12.5 because I didn't get it at 10. But against the Panthers, I think they win by 2 touchdowns just based on all the circumstances involved with Pitt.
Okay. I will go Auburn to cover against A&M minus 3.5.
Okay.
Auburn getting plus 3.5 there. I think Auburn wins that game and covers.
I'm actually taking that one too, as I talked about in the preview. If they're getting 4, which is where I see it here, I think Auburn's going to win that game outright. So getting points to me is just insane.
Yeah. And then I'm going to go with Washington State, 18.5. I think they hammer UCLA by
3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns or more.
Interesting.
So I'll go with Washington State covering that.
All right. And then my last one is Tennessee covering 14 against Florida. I know Tennessee's been really struggling, but just Florida with the change at quarterback, some of the outside of the football activities with the T-shirts and everything, good vibes going on in Tennessee. I think they'll cover. So my 5, I got Michigan plus 3.5, Oregon minus 10.5, UCF minus 12.5, Tennessee plus 14, and Auburn plus 4.
Okay. And I got Michigan plus 3.5, Stanford plus 10.5, ODU plus 29. Let's go. Washington State minus 18.5, and Auburn.
Excellent. Like you. Excellent. Fantastic. And that's this Saturday's episode here, September 21st, coming up on 9 o'clock. Hopefully you guys finished up all your yard work, getting ready for college game day and the noon kickoffs here. This is Kevin Mahalik with Too Close to Call, once again here at USALA Media and USALA Radio. I want to thank my guest, Jamie Pagliaro, for joining us this Saturday. And, Pags, what do you think about being more of a routine guy joining us here for the Saturday episodes, bringing your expertise?
I'm down. This is fun.
Excellent.
Going through it and getting our gambling picks in there, too. It's fun.
Yeah, exactly. Using your fun coupons for entertainment purposes. But do us all a favor out there. If you're listening through the website, go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check out USALA Media and USALA Radio, as well as Too Close to Call, the number 2 both times. Follow us on Apple Podcasts. I post all of these episodes, as well as the ones we do outside of the 3 times a week weekly episode. And you guys can get all your sports fix that you need. And every now and then we jump into some entertainment, movies, television, and just talk about what the heck's on our mind. So for everybody listening out there, I appreciate you guys joining us here again today. I hope you have a lovely Saturday, and thanks for listening to Too Close to Call.